gorgeous sunshine today, which I'm loving because the last few weeks we have had nothing but rain. So now, it being the weekend, I can finally get out and do some stuff. Hello, dog. I'm a bit cautious with the dog around the pond now because she's fallen in twice and had to be dragged out. So just keep an eye on her when she's out here. But this is the job for today. So yesterday, I didn't actually video it because I just wanted to crack on and do it. Yesterday, this was absolutely full with vegetation that's now been moved into the front garden. I've cleared it all, relocated bits and bobs, and then just sort of dug it over, put a bit more compost in there, and then planted out. These three along the back are some honeysuckle, and you can just see here that we've got one flowering just there. Oh, I love it. I get so excited when I see flowers. And so we've got one there, and then I accidentally, when I was training it up, snapped a couple off, so I just stuck them in the soil and they grew. Which is a really good thing to do in springtime when the sap is rising up. I know it's a bit late in the year now to do it, but in spring, if you do train something up a trellis like this one here, and you're just wrapping it round and it accidentally snaps. I'm going to try not to snap this one. Do it with one hand. There we go. And you accidentally snap a tip of it, just stick it in the ground, make it nice and keep it nice and moist, and who knows, it might grow. So I've got two more there that once they get up, I'm going to train them across the rest of the trellis, hopefully, and have some gorgeous honeysuckle. Just take that bit of string off because I don't like random bits of string hanging around. They can blow around and get into a bit of mischief. So it's a very roundabout way of saying what I'm going to do today. So yesterday I kept those three. Those are the only things in here that I kept. I've planted out my what are they? They are sunflowers. Of course they are. They're sunflowers. 1, 2, 3, and then 3 in a clump there, which I might have to weed out a bit, but I couldn't bear to separate them because I love sunflowers. I had some onions that had just sprouted, so I thought, why not bung them in? We've got some kale here. Now we've got some purple kale here, which I've never grown before, and I love the colour, so I've planted those. Not very well in rows, just bung them in. And the same with these kale here, and then hopefully they will survive, they will grow, and I can just thin them out. But I've left them in for now because I've never had a huge amount of luck with kale. So we've got the purple kale, we've got the Inera di Toscana, which I have grown before, and a rogue purple one in there, but you know, who cares? And we've got some. These are what are these? These are red peppers. I've got a sign there, but I can't be bothered to read it. These are some lovely red peppers that I planted out actually in January, and kept them indoors. And I had a cress pot that I'd cut off and used, and then just had a few bits growing, so I've gone and just separated those out and planted them amongst, just to see what adult cress looks like, frankly. But you can see from the little dip in the soil here that I ran out of compost, so I couldn't plant up the rest of these. So I've got a couple of bags of compost there, which I will dig. Probably, I reckon actually only needs about 1 bag of compost, but I've got plenty of tubs that I need to plant up. Now amongst this lot, I've got some poblano, which is actually kind of like a cross between a chili pepper and a sweet pepper, because it's the size of a sweet pepper, but it's technically a chili. So, I mean, they are related, so I suppose that's why, but who knows, who cares. And these were seeds that I actually gathered from a poblano, and they came up quite nicely, and you can see they got absolutely romped by aphids, but they're doing okay. So I've got poblano, I've got some more of the red sweet peppers, which I might just put in a pot just to hedge my bets, put those in the greenhouse because I do have room in the greenhouse. And then I've got some slightly sorry looking hot peppers. These are Suriname fire, so they're again some seeds that I scavenged. and just planted to see what happens. So I'll plant those out, water them, and give them less than a little bit of food because they are suffering. That's a self-seeded tomato, which might go in anyway, just because. So I'm going to get as many of these as I can in this bed. Probably just the healthiest looking ones, and then the rest I hate throwing plants away, but I might end up throwing them away because I can't really pass them on to anyone. If they're not good enough for me to plant, then they're not really good enough for me to pass on to some other poor sap to deal with. I've got some basil here that I'm trying to rescue. That was just from the supermarket. You can see it looked absolutely awful. So I'm trying to rescue that. I got my gorgeous, I love these, foxgloves, and some more coming out there that are doing really well. I had to stake them up because, as I said, we had a hell of a lot of rain, and they just got weighed down with all the rain. So I've had to stake them up, and they're looking really rather good. Hello, little bug. What are you? Don't know. So that's the job for today. I'm going really, really easy on myself today, I must admit. But if I do have time, I'll probably try and tidy this lot up. I've got 2 spare bits there. And this fern is going to get lifted and put into the front garden. That was my rhubarb in there, but for some reason it hasn't come up this year, so it's probably dead. I did move it quite a bit last year when I did the complete remodel of the garden, so it's probably entirely my fault. The pond is looking scummy because I've just set the filter going again, so that will need some care, but that is very much on a back burner at the moment. The rest of today is probably just a little bit of greenhouse maintenance. I've got the tomatoes are doing beautifully. Oh, I'm so pleased with them this year. Last year was probably the first year I had any real luck with tomatoes, and I've tried to do all of that again this year, but this is the very first time that I've actually done tomatoes from seed myself in the propagator. Never managed that before, and this year, so far they are looking gorgeous. So I'm hoping to get quite a few nice tomatoes off that. I'll just show you my watering system for that. These, because I'm going to be planting on top of the soil with these, and I'll show you what those are in a moment. What I've done with this is I've just taken a water bottle, get that out, taken the bottom bit off, drilled a hole in the lid, and stuck it in the soil. And what that means is I can just pour water into there, right up to there, and it just drains through, excuse the dirty fingernail, it just drains through into the soil. It drains down deep into the soil. It doesn't just wet the top and have that evaporate off. And you know exactly how much you put in there, because that's about 330ml. And I've got some 500ml elsewhere, but I know that each tomato is getting about the same. And then I've got the little tray underneath with some sand in it, just to soak up any excess. And you can see that one's standing, which isn't ideal. Those won't get watered for a while. It's a hot day, so that'll probably evaporate now. I've got some, these are beans, the seed that I'd actually collected last year, so I have no idea what kind of beans they are. I think, by the looks of them, they're probably runner beans, maybe, but they could be dwarf, they could be anything, who knows. I'll find out. I love an experiment. I've done some succession sowing of spring onion just in here, carrots in that one. They're just like a really small globe carrot, a bit like an orange radish. So I'm going to see how those go. They need thinning out. And then I've got some spicy salad leaves in this, which I'm just going to use as a cut and come again. And as the tomato grows up, I will be removing these lower leaves just to still make sure that there's quite a bit of ventilation amongst the stems, so these will then get a bit of light as well, so that'll be good, hopefully. This again is an experiment. And then I've got some slightly leggy looking white radishes there. I'm not too sure how well they'll do. Just after they've germinated, that's when we had that period of really bad weather, so I don't think they've got enough light, to be honest, but we'll see how they get on. Again, it's an experiment. Nothing on the staging at the moment because that's all been moved out there. And then the next greenhouse, I've got a couple of cucumbers. I've only got 2 this year, so I might actually hopefully get some from the garden centre. They probably need a bit of care. So hoping to get maybe a couple more, but who knows, it's not been a great year for them, and the seeds are prohibitively expensive when you get them from the garden centre, so I haven't bothered this year. Just a chilli that needed something, so I bung that in a pot, and I've got some dwarf French beans just around it, just to make good use of the space. Now last year I tried to overwinter some chilies, and this is the only one that even showed a remote amount of growth. So you can see that is one that I actually bought in the shop. I think they're the same type. And this is the one that overwintered. So by all means overwinter if you think that's a good idea, but I am not going to bother because that was so much hassle last year. And you can just see from the vermiculite on the top, I've done some succession growing in there. I think that's carrots again. I should have labelled it, but there we go. I never do, and then it comes up and I get all surprised. Some self-seeded tomatoes that I've just planted out because I didn't think they'd grow, but they actually seem to be doing quite well, so I don't know what I'll do with those once they grow up. Tomatoes, some little beans, peas, sorry. They're sweet pea, sugar snap peas, these ones, but they're different colours, so no idea what they'll come up as because it was a mixed bag, so we'll see. A wonderful, huge, my best tomato is an heirloom variety, surprisingly enough, so we'll see what happens with that. A few more tomatoes, more of these watering systems that I call them, and that's a sucker there, so I'm just gonna, I don't know how I missed you last time round, but there, don't want you. So that's that for today. These, just have a look over them, make sure they're fine. Oh, and the leeks. These are leeks. I've never grown leeks before. I'm growing them this year. We'll see what happens. So these are just growing on. That's probably the best one. Growing on. And eventually they will go somewhere. I don't know where, because I don't really have the space. They'll probably have to go out in the front garden. We shall see. Oh, you know, looking at it all like that, I can't help feeling I've got a lot to do. But it's fine. More French beans, and this is a cucamelon. I had a go at growing those from seed one year, but none of them came up. I haven't had a lot of luck with seed, but now I've got the propagator, and I'm actually using that for growing all of my seeds. I think, to be honest, it's quite a cold house. I run it quite cold. I don't like having the heating on much, and that's good for me, but not so good for germination rates. So I suspect it's probably all my fault, but we'll see how that goes on. That's meant to get to about 5 foot, so it should go all the way up here. Got some strawberries growing there, and then some lettuces down there that really are just for the quail. When they fly up, they like to peck the leaves. And then we've got some more strawberries growing on this thing, which is absolutely brilliant idea because I don't have a huge amount of horizontal space, but that makes use of the vertical space. And I'm really excited. I'm really, really excited because there's a strawberry. Look at this. I reckon a few more days and I'll probably eat. Oh, look, it's been nibbled. It has. It's got a little bit of. Oh, that's so annoying. Because I was about to say one of the great things about this is that I haven't, touch wood, so far seemed to got too many slugs and whatever getting at them, but that has just gone and proved me wrong. But never mind, I'll still eat it. Probably cut that bit off and still eat it in a couple of days. So these, just fill them up with water and it drains through, which is brilliant. So look at that, fat bellies. Fat bellies because they've had some nice food. They're happy. They're lining along there now because that's where they get the first amount of sun. So they're just waiting to sunbathe now. Oh, love quail, brilliant. Right, first things first, I think a cup of tea. Right, well, I have gotten good and mucky, as you can see. I haven't actually, I don't feel like I've done an awful lot today, but really I suppose I have. I've turned over these beds and I've put in a good bag of compost, nice rotted compost in there, and I think I might put my leeks in there. I'm not too sure as yet. I could do some beans in this one and grow them up the trellis, and then something else in the others, but I'm not entirely sure. But they are ready to go as and when I make up my mind. I've left my lovely foxgloves and these chives. I'm going to let these go to seed. They come up each year, but I'll let those go to seed and then hopefully collect the seeds, and then I can plant some more. And I don't know whether I'll end up moving that. It's done very well there, so I'm loath to do anything to it. But the main thing that I've done today is put a bag of compost in this half and dig that in, get that nice and enriched in the soil. And what I've done is I've transplanted the little tomato seedling. Can't quite see the screen terribly well, but it's in the middle there somewhere, that had self-seeded. And then these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the back there, the darker green, are poblano. So those are hopefully going to give me some fruits this year. Who knows? Then we've got some, what are you? Suriname Fire on this line here. And then those along the back are actually Trinidad Perfume. These ones here, just in front of the poblano, they're Trinidad Perfume, which is an absolutely gorgeous yellow chili pepper. It's about sort of that size, and that's sort of that size, there we go. And they are really fragrant. They've got this lovely citrusy flavour to them. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm hoping, it's a bit late, it's June, so it might be a bit late to plant them out, and they don't look terribly healthy, but I'm hoping I might get 1 or 2 from them. If I don't, who cares? And then along the front here, this one here is actually a dragon crossed with a scorpion chili pepper. So that is very hot, and that's just in amongst these red peppers here that hopefully will do something this year. Oh, it's so windy, and it's been really, really warm and lovely out here, but it has been very windy. I had loads of those, and I was loath to get rid of them all, so what I've done is I've just hedged my bets. I was going to put some, either some beans in here and grow them up, some sticks, or I was thinking about putting some sweet corn in this row here, and then they're protected from both these sides. They should just grow straight up and not need too much support. That was my idea, but I didn't want to plant my own, and I just couldn't find any seedlings. There's always sweet corn seedlings in the shops, and you just couldn't find any this year. So what I've done is I've just put some peppers and poblanos in there just to see how they get on. I'll leave them in there. They'll get watered from the rain coming down between these two, and I'll throw some water on them occasionally and just let them get on with it, to be honest. Other than that, I haven't really done much today. Next thing to do will be the leeks, and I've just sort of tidied up a little bit. I've tidied up a little bit in here. Those lettuces at the back, which are pretty much just planted in there because I didn't have anywhere else to put them. Yes, hello Brown. That's Brown down there shouting at me. So I've just put them in there, really, as I say, because I didn't have anywhere else to put them. And you can see these little peck marks. It's not slugs for a change on the lettuces. It's actually usually purple. Where's Purple? He's in there somewhere. Usually Purple flies up and then sits on there, shouts his little head off, and then has a little snack and comes back down. But what I've done is around the base of them is I've just taken the large leaves off, to sort of stop them from rotting in the soil and giving a home to slugs and whatever. And I've just noticed I've missed a bit round the back. Never mind, I'll get that some other time. Those are looking good. And the strawberries as well. I think I'm going to sit in the sun and watch the quail and have another cup of tea.